Okay, so we're live. That's great. There was this super interesting conversation happening in the 4-week pod about feeling like you are enough. What does it mean to you for you to be enough? And a lot of you have said basically the same thing, that you feel like you're enough, but if your relationships fail, if your work doesn't go according to plan, if there's something happening at work, you do not feel like you are enough anymore. You feel like there's a problem with you. This is why all the other problems are happening in your life, because if you were enough, you would not be having these issues. And it's not true at all. It's one of those beliefs that is not very helpful in the long term or in the short term, however you look at it. So when it comes to relationships, you're not responsible for your partner. Okay, it takes two people to tango. It takes two people to have a strong, stable relationship. And when you hit bumps in the road, again, it takes two people to work through things. It's never, well, it's your fault, you deal with it because it's not my problem. It is our problem. This is why we are a couple. We need to sit down and talk about it and sort things out. Now, of course, there are people out there who don't do any work on themselves, who are maybe on the narcissistic spectrum and so on. And no matter how much you try to please them, no matter how much you give, it will never be enough. And that doesn't mean that you as a person are not enough. It's simply the wrong place for you as a person. And you should not be taking that personally. You're not responsible if he's being unfaithful or if he wants somebody else. That is not on you. His commitment issues, his attachment problems, those are for him to work out. And it's the same in the lady's case. Our anxieties, our fears, those are things we need to work on. We cannot expect the other person to be there for us all the time, to always answer the phone when we call, because if not, we get a panic attack and start to imagine all sorts of things. They are not our parents to hold our hand 100% of the time. And most often, these sort of fears and this sort of relationship issues stem from childhood, because the relationship you have with your parents is basically the first relationship, and it's your first interaction with the environment. So a lot of our negative beliefs, a lot of our fears, a lot of this idea that we're not enough if our parents are not happy stem from childhood. Because as a child, if your parent is angry with you, then you do not think, well, my mom had a rough day. She really had a hard time. And I know she doesn't mean what she says right now. Or if your parents are fighting, you will think it's your problem, because if you were enough, they would not be fighting. And I'm working with this wonderful lady who her parents went through a divorce, and her mother had depression. And we went back to this wonderful scene where her mother was in bed with depression. She wasn't really looking out for the children. And she was thinking, as a little girl, I am not enough, because if I were enough, my mom would be happy that she has a child. My mom would be like the other moms, happy to be a parent, happy to have me in her life. And she was a very joyful kid, kind of like all the kids are. But her mother missed all that joy and all that happiness because she had depression. And that was no fault of the child, yet the child felt compelled to help the mother and to entertain the mother and to make the mother feel happy. And in adulthood, it was the same thing. Her mind was still there, stuck in, how can I make my mom happy? How can I please? How can I be of service to others, but never to me? So it was a very, very interesting conversation. And the same thing happens if, if we lose our jobs, we think that we're not enough, that we're just not good. If we were good, then we would not have lost our job. And most of the time, again, it is not true. And some companies, corporations, whatever you want to call them, they will purposefully hire people for a short period of time without any intention of making it a full-time position or a indefinite position, just because they want to get through a period which is just busier, and then they will let you go. It doesn't mean you're not good at it. It doesn't mean you can be the best they've ever had. Their intention was never to keep you. So don't take these things personally. Take them as experiences, ways for you to grow, ways for your personal development. But it does not reflect on yourself. And when you do the work, when you do the inner work, when you return to yourself and when you return to the truth of who you are, you understand that you were born perfect and you were born enough and you were born with confidence. And you have masked it all, you have lost it all in these layers that we have created to protect ourselves from getting hurt, from being vulnerable, for being taken advantage of, and so on and so forth. And once you reconnect with yourself, once you understand the true meaning of who you are and your purpose on this earth, everything makes sense and everything becomes easier. I hope you found this helpful. I will see you guys next time.